Today we are going to be doing some body activation codes, and we're really going to be talking about the difference between like motivation and activation, and feminine and masculine. So I'm just going to wait for everybody to kind of come in. Hi Sanjay. I don't think I've ever seen you on here before, so that's exciting. Whoever else is here, say something so that I can see your little bubble so I can get to know you. We're gonna go into, yay, that's so awesome. I'm gonna be doing some intuitive channeling today. So I'm just gonna turn the music down a bit because I don't want Facebook to block it out. Elena, how much are you loving the Infused Masterclass? Hi, Melanie. Just finished the masterclass. Perfect timing. Love that. So we're going to be talking about masculine versus feminine, and when we have resistance to like routine and when we have resistance to doing things a certain way. That's what we're going to be talking about. Yay, I'm so happy you loved it, Elena. So here's the thing that can happen is we can go through a period of time where we were in such masculine energy, where it was like all we're doing is doing more in our business, doing more with our workouts, doing more, going on a crash diet, and everything that we're doing isn't doing anything. And then what happens is we continue pushing and we continue pushing, and then we reach burnout, right? So that's masculine energy. So masculine energy is when you're doing things, and what can, and there's what we want. We do want masculine energy. But what happens is a lot of women form resistance around it because they've done things in the past and it hasn't gotten them to where they wanted to be. So maybe there was one point in time where you were really motivated and you felt like you were doing everything that you could possibly do in order to get to where you wanted to be, and it still didn't work. And then suddenly it just doesn't feel worth it to do things anymore because you're not achieving the result that you want. And so what happens is we'll tell ourselves that we hate doing it. We'll say, I hate going on the treadmill, or I hate working out, or I hate doing meal prep, or I hate eating healthy, or I don't like these things. But what it really is it's not that you don't like doing the things, it's that you don't like getting on the treadmill and not losing 10 pounds. That's the thing that you don't like. But because you get stuck on the fact that you didn't get the result you wanted, you decide that it was being on the treadmill that you don't like. So you launch a program or you launch a thing and nobody signs up for it. So you decide that you hate launching. But what it really is that you hate not getting results. So what can happen is we'll go through periods of time where we're dieting really hard. So let's say we are crash dieting, we're drinking shakes, we're eating just kale, we're eating just chicken breasts, and we might lose a little bit of weight, but it doesn't feel like we lost that much weight. So then what happens is we decide we're never going on a diet again. So we decide that we hate meal plans because for so many years we would go on meal plans and it just felt like torture and it felt like hell. So what happens is then we will decide that we hate structure and we hate routine, and then we will start to avoid it because we want to feel free. So the weekend hits, and because this can be put into different like mindsets. So let's say even for example, you are Monday to Friday, you're super routined and you're super disciplined and you do all of your workouts and you just eat boring food and you just eat your normal chicken salad and you just eat your boring ass fucking smoothie for breakfast. And then all of a sudden the weekend hits and you need a break from your routine because your routine didn't feel good. And so then you eat all of the things on the weekend because you know that come Monday, you have to go back to your routine. And you have to go back to your trap. So just like, did you ever have a parent who held you down as a kid and you weren't allowed to do ABC? So then what happens is as soon as you move out or as soon as you have a second, you go and do ABC. Do you know what I mean? Like our parents will tell us that we're not allowed to do certain things. And then the second we leave our parents' house, we go and do those things. Hi, Ashley. So it's the same thing as when you force yourself to go on a specific meal plan or you force yourself to do something in your business when you don't actually want to. And of course you can stick to it from Monday to Friday, or you can stick to it for 30 days, or you can stick to it for 6 months, maybe even a year. But in the end, you feel like you're in a trap. So what we want is to be able to have structure and routine while also being able to have freedom. Because the structure and the routine and the masculine energy is still very important. The masculine energy is the thing that moves you forward. So when every time that you eat the healthy thing, you're creating an energy of, I'm giving myself a hot body. So you eat the thing that's in alignment with your hot body. So you eat a healthy breakfast, and that creates an energy of I'm hot. And then you eat a healthy lunch, and it stacks the energy of I'm even hotter. And then you eat a healthy dinner, and it stacks the energy of I'm even hotter. And then you work out, and it stacks the energy again. So really, that's what routine is. It's really just when you stack energy and you continuously stack it and stack it and stack it so that it becomes more potent. That's what it is. So when we look at it like that, that is the masculine thing. So when you stock up your fridge with all of the correct foods, when you stock up your fridge with fruit, that's exactly it, Ashley. When you stock up your fridge with fruit and like frozen turkey dogs instead of frozen regular hot dogs, and you have frozen berries and you have frozen veggies in there instead of frozen pizza, when you stock up your cupboards with all of the healthy food, that's your strategy for your hot body. And then what you do is you decide after a while, after you've been doing it for a while, you figure out your go-to meals. You figure out, okay, I really enjoy having this one smoothie for breakfast, or I really enjoy having this one waffle recipe for breakfast, or I really enjoy this one thing for dinner. And then all of a sudden you find that you're making that often because you actually like that. Okay, we really like having burritos. We really like having taco night. We really like having this one recipe. So what happens is then you realize, okay, the whole family likes this, so I'm going to always have these ingredients on hand. And that basically is your strategy for your hot body. And you repeating some of those meals suddenly becomes your meal plan. Except for your meal plan is not because Tasha said I had to drink this smoothie for breakfast. Your meal plan is because you tried that recipe and you really enjoyed it and you like repeating it. And now all of a sudden that's your routine. But it's a routine that you actually enjoy. And you noticed that on weekends you tend to have a little bit more time, so you like to make these banana pancakes. But what you do know is that using the sugar-free maple syrup is more in alignment with your body goals than it is to use the full sugar maple syrup. So what you do is you always have the sugar-free maple syrup on hand. Or maybe you like full maple syrup, but what you do is you have 1 tablespoon of it instead of a 1/4 cup of it, right? So that is your strategy, but you're choosing. So instead of it being like, Tasha said I have to drink a green smoothie on Saturday while my kids eat pancakes, that's a shitty ass fucking strategy. Instead, it's like, okay, I actually do like this green smoothie, so I'm going to have it like a couple times a week, or I'm going to have it on Monday, but on Saturday I'm going to have pancakes, and that becomes your routine. Yeah, see, Ashley, I knew you would love it. Everyone always loves it. It's like, this is an exact example too, is we will try different diets that require discipline, right? So you decide to go on keto, which requires discipline because you have to cut out carbs. And you did that and you lost a little bit of weight, but you couldn't keep it off. So now you have resistance around doing diets because number one, you feel like you can't maintain it. Number two, now you feel worse than you ever did. Number three, it felt like a trap. So now there's resistance around it because it didn't feel freeing because you cut out carbs and it felt literally like a trap. So now you don't want to try anything at all because you believe that diets are traps. So now there's this other program that you feel called to and you're like, ooh, there's something about that girl. Ooh, I really like how she's explaining things, but I have resistance around routines and structure and I don't want to do that. Or I don't believe I'm going to be able to do it with having 3 kids and a business and this and that. So I'm going to actually avoid it. So this is what we do because we have a certain experience of diets or structure or routine or discipline that we didn't like. And this, we can apply this to our business as well. Maybe we had a point in time where we were working really hard and we had young kids and we were going to work and we were like, it was so hard and crash, boom, right? And I did this for a long time too. So in the whole period of time when I had a 2-year-old and a newborn, that was my like burnout, rock bottom moment. And in that time that I had a 2-year-old and a newborn, I was also forming my online business. And that was a necessary part of my life. Like I had to do those things to get me unstuck. I wasn't just going to sit in the stuckness for a whole year, but it was a lot of work and it was fucking stressful and overwhelming, but I still did it. And I got over it and I got through it. And then eventually what happened was I got to a point where I was no longer in there. And I was like, I'm never working hard again. Like that was so hard. I just got myself above water. I'm never working hard again. And in saying that, I was basically avoiding the next level of me because I was afraid to work hard because working hard is something that I would relate stress and feeling like I was in a trap. And so what it has to be is knowing that yes, there are periods of time that you went through where hard work was required and you went through a burnout. And the difference is that this time you're gonna be willing to work hard, but not overwork yourself. So because you're evolved and you're a completely different person, you're gonna go at it different. And you're going to trust yourself to work hard and to step out of it and take a break when you need a rest. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you need to believe in yourself and your ability to put yourself back into the pressure and to put yourself back into the hard work. But this time, do it with intention and awareness and not push yourself all the way to the point where your stress level is at a max, right? Thanks, Kim. So this time you're strong enough to be able to step into the pressure and navigate it and step out of it when you need to step out of it. And this is the thing that took me from $10,000 months into almost $40,000 months. Is learning the defense mechanisms that I put up and learning the things that I was avoiding in order to not experience stress and not experience burnout and not experience exhaustion. What I was avoiding is I was avoiding doing the things that would be required for the next level me. Because I was afraid that I would suddenly backpedal 30 steps back to where I was. And so what it's got to be is you've got to learn how to trust yourself and know that you can do it and you can handle the stress and you can handle the pressure and you can handle the hard work, but you're not going to try to do it all instantly in a moment and never take breaks. So what I would ask everyone to look at is the things that you're avoiding and at what cost are you avoiding them, right? So when you do a little bit of planning and when you watch the nutrition coaching video that Tasha recorded, now what happens is you have enough knowledge to be able to freely choose things without feeling like you're constantly in a trap of your body in this constant pull back and forth of like, I want to accept who I am, but actually also I want abs, but actually also I don't want to do the strict routine, but like actually also I want the thigh gap, like constantly in debation between those two things. And what it comes down to is having a plan that has some sort of structure and routine that doesn't feel like a hell trap, that feels like, and this is where the difference between like accountability and connection. Okay, so I don't like the word accountability. I don't like the thought of like having to stay accountable to somebody and like reporting to them what I did and didn't do and they tell me what to do. Like I can't fucking stand that. So what I do with my clients is it's not about me keeping them accountable. I'm not going to keep you accountable for shit. You can keep yourself accountable. But what I am going to do is connect with you so that you can stay focused to yourself. To me, that's more important. So for example, like with my one-on-one clients, we can call it accountability, where I'll have a Voxer with them and they're telling me what they're eating and we're talking about their business and we're talking about their body, and we can call that accountability. Like, yes, they're sending me their food journal, but the reason why they're sending me their food journal is not so that I can say, yes, you did this right, or no, you did this wrong. That's not the point of the food journal. The point of the food journal is so that I can look it over and be like, okay, this is what you had for breakfast. This is really great. Here are the things that were awesome and on point. And here are some things that I would tweak if you're finding that you're a little hungry at night. Here is the thing that I would switch this one egg to this other thing so that you don't have those cravings. So the point is not so that I can give you a hard yes or no. The point is so that you can actually get to know more intimately food and how it works and your relationship with yourself and your relationship with your nutrition and the results that it gives. Okay, I'm gonna have this smoothie for breakfast. Okay, so here's an example. I'm gonna have this smoothie for breakfast. And because it's quick and easy and fast, and I don't have a lot of time to be like cooking. And so now I'm noticing that I'm pretty hungry come lunchtime. Like I'm kind of like ferociously hungry. And the reason why is because although the smoothie was healthy for you and the smoothie was great and we can do the smoothie, but smoothies are liquid and they also digest in your system very quickly. And so they don't have as much substance as like eating oatmeal would. So it's not that you have to eat oatmeal and it's not that you have to drink a smoothie. But what you do have to do if you want everlasting results is look at what you're eating and look at the result it's giving to you in your body, not just the result of like what you weigh and what you look like, but the result in your satisfaction factor and the result in your cravings. Because I know that me personally, when I drink a meal, I feel less satisfied and I want to chomp something and I want to chew something and I want my food to talk back to me. So although a smoothie for me would work once in a while when I'm really feeling hot out and it's like I want something refreshing, that's going to work for me, but it's not going to work for me to do that every day because I'm also missing the chomp factor and the crunchiness factor. And all of these things play a part. And that's why it doesn't work to go on isogenics for 10 weeks. It doesn't work long term because you're not developing intimacy with your food. This is why it's so important. So in the having accountability with me as your private coach, what you're actually doing is deepening your connection with your food and really understanding how food works. And because you have me and we're talking about emotions as well. So we're talking about how you feel like you want to punch your husband out because you had to go through this pregnancy and you had to work with all your body changing and get up in the middle of the night and breastfeed, and he just sits there with his useless nipples that do nothing while he gets to sleep, and you feel like you hate him in that moment. Like, we get to talk about those things. We get to talk about the fact that you have a client who you feel like isn't the right fit and she's really annoying and you can tell she's not receiving what you're saying, and we get to talk about that and how to transform it and how to change that energy. We get to talk about what's going on in your body and how that's applying to your business. Like, we get to talk about you. So the point of one-on-one coaching is connection. is you connecting to me heart to heart so that you can start to ingrain the habits that I teach into you, and you can start connecting with yourself. So like, for example, when you pay for a program and you invest in a program, let's say you're investing in a 10-week program, right? You make a payment and automatically now that money implants into 10 weeks from now. So if this was a timeline, here's your 10-week program, right? And you make a payment for 10 weeks and it goes right here. And now you're rooted in, and there's a string attached of commitment to that 10 weeks. And of course, people can break their commitments. But when you intentionally say, I'm going to anchor in my body goals for the next 10 weeks, I'm going to anchor in my 1-year transformation. And what happens is with the money, it puts something on the line where it's adding a little bit of pressure where you have to do the things that are required to be done. Because when nothing's on the line, of course, you can break your promise, right? So, for example, it's usually, of course, we get changes, like we change every single day. But for people who go all in, for my clients who get the hugest results, it's usually ones who go a year. So it's like, that's for like weight loss plus toning plus inner transformation, like a truly ingrained, rooted in, locked in, I'm hot for fucking life and this weight is not coming back. That usually I find takes a year to integrate completely. And it's not that you have to be with me for a year, but when you're constantly seeding, so let's say you commit to like a 1-year program and then you put a large chunk of money down. You're now rooting that in even deeper, right? Because there's even more on the line. So when you do a $5 app, nothing is on the line. It literally doesn't matter. When you buy a $10 cookbook, nothing is on the line. It literally doesn't matter. When you do keto and you cut out carbs and you know that you can just stop doing that anytime you want, nothing matters, right? So when you're intentional and you say to yourself, okay, how long do I think it's going to take me to reach my dream body? And okay, I want to make a leap and a jump all the way in. So if I know it's going to take me a year to achieve my dream body, I'm going to sign up for a 1-year program. But you don't have to. You can say, actually, that overwhelms the fuck out of me. And so instead, what I want to do is I want to commit to 4 weeks. That's okay too. That's absolutely okay. It's about whatever is going to work for you, right? Are you the type who likes to take small bite-sized pieces, and a commitment like that actually freaks you the fuck out and makes you have a panic attack? Well, we don't want that. Or are you the type of person who makes big leaps and baller moves and says, yeah, I'm all in, baby? And neither one of those is right or wrong. It just depends where you're at in your journey and your level of trust in yourself and your level and trust of like what kind of relationships that you like. And when we look at this, and we can apply this to our lives as well, right? So if you're like somebody who likes to take bite-sized pieces and bite-sized steps, then your programs and your offerings should probably be in alignment with that. So if you're the type of person who likes to do a 3-week commitment or a 1-week commitment or a 10-day commitment, then this type of things that you want to offer should be smaller commitment containers, because that would align more with like the type of person you are. So it's about really getting to know yourself and your fears and learning how to navigate those and all of that things, right? Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing, is that sometimes when we start a program, we also want to feel that it's right for us. So for example, when I'm looking to hire a mentor, I often will watch their free stuff, right? Because I'll want to feel out their vibe. I want to watch their body language. I want to watch how they talk. So it's not necessarily that I'm trying to like get value out of the free stuff or get something out of the free stuff, but I want to feel who they are. So this is why it's really important for you in your free stuff to like really show who you are and not hold back. Because anytime that you hold back or you put the filter over yourself of I'm professional, or you put the filter over yourself, it's just diluting your message. So if you want to picture like the people who are closest to you and really show up to your free stuff in that type of vulnerability, that allows people to get deeper with you and connect with you faster. So it wouldn't make sense for me to show up and be super professional and proper in my free stuff, and then all of a sudden in my private coaching, I'm talking to you about the blowjob I gave, or the time I got finger banged, or when I used to binge eat, or like some outrageous thing that I talk about, and I'm laughing and I'm being myself, and I'm dipping in between. Sometimes I'm being deep, sometimes I'm being funny. I'm just like really going with the energy. It doesn't make sense for me to not show that right here and only show it with my private coaching clients. It's like actually holding back the best part of me. Because as long as I'm putting the filter of I'm professional over me, you're only seeing a piece of me. But the defense mechanisms are a really huge piece in blocking money. So when you're putting up a defense mechanism and you're avoiding something, you're also avoiding a stream of income. You're also avoiding the next 10 pounds. You're also avoiding. And so what we need to do is trust ourselves. And when you're in a spot of like, I just literally don't know, I'm so overwhelmed, this is where it's in more of alignment to dip your toe in and see, okay, what's the vibe? Let me try this. It's not that I'm not willing to go all in. I just want to make sure that when I go all in, I go all in, and I know I can do it. So if this is going to require me to cut out carbs for a year, I already know that I'm not going to do it. So there's no point in me wasting my energy and disappointing myself yet another time. My husband just pulled into the driveway with a boat. So I guess he decided to buy a boat. We kind of talked about it, but I'm actually really excited about it. This is going to be so fun. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, is the resistance that we have and when you can trust yourself to make a leap. So like Ashley, I know that you had a ton of resistance and fear around going into the Lose 20 Pounds in 4 Weeks program. And it wasn't because you didn't think that, it wasn't because me. It was more like, okay, I see all the results these women are getting, and I think they're amazing, and I think Tasha's amazing, but I just don't know if I can do it, right? And this is how most people feel about your programs. It's not that they don't believe in you. It's they don't know if they can do that. And there's just a fear of, if I can't do it, then what? So when you're looking at your fears and your resistance around routine, it just usually is, I'm either scared that I can't do it, or I'm scared I'm going to do it and I'm going to hate it. And so we have to trust that if we hate it, we can just stop. Do you know what I mean? Melanie, your transparency of who you are and how you are is critical to the right fit. I knew I could be myself in boxer chats. I love that. So Melanie, in you, when you're forming your relationships and when you're forming your connections, you want to look at that. So you want to look at the things that attracted you to me, and you want to be able to admit that yourself, right? So even when you look at the way that I do things, like you can just tell that I'm not holding back. And this is another huge thing that has brought my income up massively. And so it wasn't that I would hold back in who I was, but oftentimes what I used to do with my free stuff is I would hold back in giving everything because I didn't feel my cup was full, because I felt in lack of. So because I'm scared that if I give too much, there's not gonna be anything left to give if for you to enter the program. So I'm gonna hold back a little bit so that you'll enter the program. And although I'm not going to come on here and give you like full-on nutrition coaching for free, when I talk to you, I'm not going to hold back because you're not paying. Because I'm here because I just want to be here. Because I want to show my new hair, which is a wig. Do you guys like my new wig? Because I want to show my dress and I want to show my wig, and I genuinely want to be here. So I'm not holding back. And this has really helped me Because it makes sense. When you hold back, you don't break through. When you're holding back and wanting to go forward, those are two completely opposite energies, which leave you right here in the middle. So because I'm holding back from doing 6 days of workouts a week because I'm scared it's going to be too much and I'm going to hate it, so I'm holding back from going all in aggressively into my workouts because I'm scared I'm going to burn out. So instead, I'm just going to stay right here where I have a little bit more energy, but I feel slightly fatter. Do you see what I mean? So it's not that you have to aggressively go and do 6 workouts a week. It's not that, but it's like, if you're holding back and you know that you could, and you know that you're not giving 100%, and you know that you could have got up an hour earlier and took that stroller out or went for that jog, that's when you're holding back, right? So that's another thing you really want to look at. I have a fear of failure. I would just ignore something so I don't have to see that. Either I fail or could fail. How do I get over that? Well, accept the fact that you will fail, and you'll fail lots of times. You're going to fail a bunch more times. So here's the thing, Elena, and I feel like a lot of people do this, is they picture their weight loss journey going to be, okay, I'm going to find the diet for me that's going to work. And it's going to be, I'm going to be the person who never cheats, who does it 100%. And she just loses the weight fast. And like, I'm forever healed and I never have an ice cream again and I'm good to go. And I don't cheat ever. I quit cheating. And so in that, you feel like you need to be perfect. When the fact is, you're going to fail a whole shitload of times. You're going to fail a whole bunch of times before you succeed. And when you succeed, there's going to be a new level of new failures. So actually jump into the failure. Jump into the fact that this month, you might not hit your weight loss goal. You might make a goal this month to lose 8 pounds, and you might not hit that. And what will you do? Will you get back up and do it again? This is the same thing, like even if we look at income goals, like even hitting the $10,000 a month mark took me like a year of failing every single month. Every single month I believed, and I was like, this is going to be the month that I hit 10,000 a month. And every month I failed, and I just kept doing it. And then after a year, I had it locked in. And then it was like, okay, the goal is $30,000 months. And that took like 2.5 years, almost 3. And I failed at that $30,000 a month income month for 2.5 to 3 years. And now consistently, I'm usually exceeding that. But there's still months that I don't. So it's like, there's still times where I felt like I had it locked in that every month I'll hit like 40 grand. And then all of a sudden I'll have a month that I don't. And I fail in that moment. But I never hit like what I used to hit. So it's the same thing as like, sometimes your weight will fluctuate and you'll gain 3 pounds. Like there's never going to be a time where you just never gain weight, but the fluctuations will change. It'll be like, now I don't gain 10 pounds at a time. Now I gain 3 pounds. And then I wrap it all in. Then I look at it, right? So it's like, okay, I could fail and I will. I will fail. Like not failing just doesn't really exist. Like there are people who hit the goal the first time and then they never look back. That exists. That's a potential. I have never been that person. I've always been the person to fail over and over and over again. And then finally, they're in little pieces. I learn something every step of the way. So like I fail and I learn this one thing. I fail and I learn another thing. I fail and I learn another thing. Okay, I notice now that when I have chunky monkey ice cream in the freezer, I tend to go and eat it a lot and too often. Okay, I know that now. So now I get to change history by not having it in the freezer so that I constantly go into it. So now, because I know myself better, instead of having chunky monkey ice cream in the freezer, what I do is intentionally go out with my kids every Saturday to Marble Slab and eat the ice cream that's there. So it's not just like always in the freezer for me to dip into, right? So there's still moments of failure, but you get to know yourself and you get to know how to prevent the failures. And the faster you learn that, the faster you get back up, right? And this is why getting to know nutrition and intimacy in your food and your body is so much more important. Because when you simply fail and don't look at it, that's when it becomes a pattern. So when you have a binge and you start to notice, okay, I've binged a lot of times now. I now have a pattern of binging. And instead of looking at it, I just tell myself I gotta stop binging. And then I don't find actionable steps that are different from what I'm doing, then I'm gonna keep binging. Like when I was in a full-on, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a recovered binge eater. And I was in a full-on, very vicious cycle of binging for a lot of years. And I didn't listen to the whispers because it started off as whispers. It started off as Monday to Friday, I eat healthy. And then the weekend I go on free-for-alls. That's how it started off. And then eventually I couldn't refrain myself Monday to Friday anymore. And now I'm binging during the week as well. And now I'm binging every 3 days. And now because my binges are getting stronger, I have stronger urges to restrict. So now because I know that I binged, now I'm going to restrict even more, which actually just makes the binging go stronger. So anytime you tell yourself it's the last time you're going to do something, of course you're going to go all in. This is the last time I'm going to cheat. So I'm just going to go all into this pizza because it's the last time I'm going to cheat for 10 weeks. I'm not going to have pizza for 10 more weeks. So I'm going to go all into this pizza because I know I can't have pizza for 10 weeks. And a tool that helped me a lot when I first stopped binging was to have a treat every day that I was going to allow myself to have. So I would have like a Skinny Cow ice cream or something like that. And I would eat in it and I would be like, tomorrow I get to have this. Tomorrow at this time, I'm going to have this again. And that was like what it took for me to get through. And I did the same thing when I quit smoking. I went from 1 pack and I went down to half a pack. And then I went down to 3 smokes a day. And then I went down to 3, then 2, then 1 smoke a day, and then 1 drag a day. And sometimes that's what it took is for me to know that the option was there for me to have a drag of a smoke. And I knew that every day I had the choice to have a drag of the smoke. And then eventually I was like, okay, I can go out without the smoke. And I did the same thing with food, not intentionally. I didn't even realize that's what it was. And I would say to myself, and now I go many days without having a treat. But I always know that I have the option to have it. Yeah, so when you have a habit of wanting a sweet after a meal, there's many different things that are part of that. Part of that is the quality of your calories during the daytime. So if you find that you're doing a lot of what I call better bad choices, where you're having pizza, you're only having 1 piece of pizza, you're not having 4 pieces of pizza, but what happens is when you only have 1 piece of pizza, you're also not full, right? And then so by nighttime, it catches up with you that you want sweets. And also because you have a sugar addiction, because you're used to eating sugar, of course, you're going to crave the sugar, right? So part of it is breaking the sugar addiction and giving yourself sweets that aren't actual white sugar. So being able to work in some sugar-free stuff, if you're able to do that, and still get that sweetness feeling, and then making sure the quality of your calories is up, that you're not missing snacks, and that you're also pairing your carbs and your proteins, and that your sleep is on point. Because as soon as you're not getting enough sleep, your sugar cravings come up as well. And then also looking at the fact that it's partly boredom, right? So you finding different things to do at nighttime, and a lot of it is just habit. It's just that hand to mouth, it's just that hand to mouth habit, and it's just breaking that habit. And once you can go a certain amount of time with breaking it, you'll be able to cut it out. So it's like healthy alternatives of what I can have. So maybe you'll say, okay, I just will allow myself to have 1 square of chocolate or 1 Skinny Cow or whatever. And then you can say, okay, well, I'm going to do that 3 times a week. Or maybe you got to start off with, I'm going to do that once a day. It's like whatever is going to keep your sanity. But the least that you eat, the more you don't eat after night, the better your results are going to be. When you don't eat at nighttime, it skyrockets your weight loss results by at least 70%. It's the sugar addiction and habit, wanting the sweet after salt. That's all in my mind. Yeah, so I really like pickles for salt. And then the other thing that I'd love to do for sweets is taking a tablespoon of pure cocoa and mixing it with either hot water or cold water to make like a hot chocolate or a cold chocolate. And you could do like a splash of almond milk in there if you wanted, and some skinny syrup, like if you wanted to do some sort of sugar-free syrup in there. That I find helps a lot with sugar cravings. There's also gum. You can do gum. And just having smaller amounts of it too. But what I will say is that if you go, say, 3 days without white sugar and then you start eating it again, the cravings come back fierce again. It's just like any addiction, right? So if you go a week without cocaine and then you're like, okay, let me just have one little sniff of cocaine, it's going to start triggering the cravings again. And you might get to a point where you can definitely get to a point where you can control those cravings, but there's many different things involved. And this goes into the intimacy of your relationship with your food and your body, because there's emotional triggers involved as well. Like, to this day, when I get stressed out, I instantly want to binge on chocolate. But now, so it used to be that just a little bit it used to be that I would get physical cravings, like I would actually get a craving for it. Whereas now I'll never get a craving for it. But if I have an emotional circumstance, I will want it. But I have the power and I have the self-control now to not do that. So I'll still get an urge, but it takes a very high stress situation for that to happen. Like, I would say that it happens like once every 4 months, if that even. Like, very rarely. I've gone like a year without that ever happening. So depending on what's going on. And then also looking at like your menstrual cycle, your period, and all that kind of stuff, and that affects it as well. And so that's something I go through in Food Freedom Acceleration too. As Food Freedom Acceleration goes really, really deep into your relationship with yourself, with your body, with food, with men, with sex, with time management, all that stuff. So what I was going to do was a reading and a channeling on resistance, and if we were to release resistance, what that would look like and how that would be. So since Ashley is here and since she's on my program, I'll just tap into you a little bit. If somebody else wants to have a reading, just let me know below. You'll have to share the video if you want me to do a reading, and just comment below and say shared, and then I'll go into you. And the biggest thing I feel for you, Ashley, is that it's not a fear of taking the action. It's not really a fear of going into the program. It's like, if I don't succeed, how will I explain myself? Then I have to say that it's another thing that I just didn't do or wasn't able to do. And then when I look at that, I'll have to like really look at myself and admit that there's some things that I'm not capable of doing. And if I'm not capable of doing it right now, I'll never be capable of doing it ever. Hi, Alicia. Yay, okay, perfect. So there's this feeling of, if I can't do it right now, I'll never be able to do it. It just means I can't do it. So there's this very all or nothing. If I can't do it now, I'm never going to do it, and I'm never going to lose weight. So because I tried this time and because I failed this time, I'm forever a failure, and I'm just stuck and trapped in this body forever. That's the feeling that I get. So it's this very all or nothing thing. So you'll want to look at also your life and the spots where that came from, because I also believe it's getting clammy in between my legs here. It's fucking smoking hot out. It's like 30 degrees and my crotch feels sweaty. I need some baby powder up in there. So anyways, there's this feeling of all or nothing. I'm all in or I'm not in. I'm all into this chocolate bar or I'm not having the chocolate bar at all. So if you were to actually release the resistance on that and release the pressure to be perfect, because you want to just feel proud is what I feel. You just want to be able to say, you guys, I did this program and I decided to go all in and I fucking did it. Like, that to me is what your heart actually truly desires, is to be part of this group of women, because I feel community is very important for you too. to be part of this group of women who are achieving things above and beyond. Like, do everything you can to be part of those women and to not be brought down by the people who the struggle is real and the moms this and the moms that, and like the least amount of complaining that you can hear from the everyday normalcies of motherhood, the better, right? I would struggle with weight because they did. Sadly, I believed them. Yeah. But the only reason that they struggled with their weight is because they didn't have the knowledge and abilities to do it properly. That's why they struggled. They struggled because the way that they tried to do it was through restriction and through not allowing and not giving themselves support. Like, I can pretty much guarantee you, especially with our parents, like coaching wasn't really a thing back then. And even when I went through like my postpartum depression and when I was really overwhelmed, like I didn't even know coaches existed for this type of thing. So it's like, that's the reason why they struggled. So anybody who allows themselves to have support and knowledge and not just fucking HCG, you have to transform. Like, you have to. How could you? It's not possible to look at yourself and focus on yourself and focus on your body and to keep doing that every day and to not transform. Like, that's not possible, right? They blamed genes and never fixed the problem. Yeah. So when it comes to genetics and genes, that does play a part in like our body shape. So like, I have got my dad's jaw, I have his teeth, I have his hip flexors, I've got my mom's legs and my mom's calves. But then there's the fat that's over top of it. So our general body shape can be taken on by our parents. But then there's the habits and the thoughts attached to those, which is the fat. So when it comes to like genetic weight gain, it's that their parents ate in a certain way and dealt with feelings in a certain way, which also developed thoughts around food in a certain way, which were taken on. And thoughts can be transformed and food can be transformed. So this is why you'll find that the food that you crave is very often stuff that your parents either didn't allow you to have or that they would constantly make. So every time we eat out of comfort, every time we have a crying moment and our mom gives us ice cream to make us feel better, our brain then relates that ice cream to healing. And so as an adult, we will want that ice cream. Or our mom tells us, don't eat this thing because it's going to make you fat. And then she constantly tells us that. So then as an adult, we decide to rebel against it just to break the rule and then binge on it. We decide, I'm not going to be like my mom. My mom was on diets all the time and she made me have a really horrible relationship with food, and I refused to be my mother. So I refused to eat in any kind of routine or pattern or anything that remotely looks like a diet. So I'm just going to be loosey-goosey and eat whatever I want and also be sort of chubby, right? So it's finding the balance of, no, okay, I recognize that what my mom really just wanted was to love her body, but she didn't know how. And in her warning me about the genetics, she was literally just trying to prevent me from disappointment. So Ashley, how mind-blowing is that? Your parents have spent a lifetime preparing you for disappointment. And so the very thing that you're afraid of that prevents you from taking leaps is fear of disappointment. So genetically, that's the thing that you've taken on from them, not your physical body. You've taken on her trauma around disappointment. She tried her whole life to be skinny and couldn't because she didn't have the skills, knowledge, or support. And she didn't want you to go through the same thing. Therefore, she's going to tell you, you're just not a skinny girl. You're just not going to be skinny. And is it true that you're not going to be a stick? Maybe. There are people who just naturally are skinny. Are you her? You're not her. But that doesn't mean that you're destined to be chubby. So the very thing that she was literally trying to protect you from hurt, but you felt the hurt anyways. So it's like, and how can I change this for my kids so that they don't feel what I felt? And how can I change this lineage so that my kids are going to have a healthy relationship with food? And I'm not going to base it off fear and avoidance. I'm going to actually just help them to embrace fear and understand fear and what the actual reality of it is. So Ashley, do you see again how in this moment it wasn't about accountability? Me talking to you right here in this moment was not about accountability so that you would keep eating salad for dinner. It was about connection, heart-to-heart connection, and listening and focusing. So in that moment right there, as the tears come out and as you break through about your relationship with your mom, in that moment, something shifts. However, you have to integrate it now. Hi, Randy. So what happens when people are in private containers with me, we're having conversations like that every day. And every day we're switching, and every day we're reframing. And then all of a sudden, you've been doing that every single day, and now you've transformed your relationship with your mom and your relationship with food, and you realize this whole time the fucking smoothie diet wasn't the thing, right? So it's not about you staying accountable. It's about you having focus on you. And it's about love, and it's about connection, and allowing yourself to have support, even if it's just for a moment right here, right now. That's where true breakthroughs are made. So much more than me being like, here's the perfect recipe. I mean, I'll give you the recipes. We love the recipes. That's part of it. But it's the soul to soul, heart to heart conversations and feelings behind it. How boring would it be? Like, it's so much more interesting when you get to have these types of conversations instead of the talk about when your child naps, because nobody gives a flying fuck. I'm sorry. I don't care when your child naps. I don't care when my child naps. And it's not that we don't talk about kids and how to like deal with them and stuff like that, but the focus isn't on the stupid motherfucking kids. The focus is on you and your body and what you actually want. Okay, so the next person, was it Beth Russell? Beth Russell, are you still there? I'm going to go on to you next for a reading. And then Elena. I love you, Tasha. I've only joined for 2 minutes and blown away. I love you, Kaylee. Kaylee did Food Freedom, I think. Yeah, Nicole. And Nicole, you know, you would honestly, you would do amazing in a 1-year program with me. Like fucking blow off the roof. Like I just know that. Okay, Beth. Okay, so we're going to go into, if you were to truly release resistance and you were to truly allow life to take you and to allow yourself to go full force towards your goals and to your body and all of that. Because there's this being held down. So because I've never read you too, I really like it when you talk back and forth with me. So it helps to like for us to ping pong. But there is this feeling of, okay, I feel stuck. I feel I'm leaned back so much in one area that I'm actually not, there are things that I know that I want to do that I don't trust myself to do. That's the immediate feeling that I'm getting. And it's coded around past beliefs and past patterns. And it's even goes as far as your hair. Okay. So whose hairline do you have? Whoever's hairline that you have, like not the color of your hairline with your parents, that's the person that you got it from. So anyways, and when we look at our hair, because it's the first thing that's kind of like my attention is being brought to, and we look at that, it's like, okay, I feel like it's shiny. I feel like it's good. I feel like it's not deprived as far as nutrition goes, but there's some little tweaks that would also allow it to thrive a little bit more. And that if you were to let go of, I want to say, a minimum of 10 pounds, 12 pounds, something like that, even that would make a huge shift in perspective of how you see and look at your body. And it doesn't have to be necessarily around the pounds, but do you have tattoos? I can't see in your profile picture. Do you have tattoos? Because what I also view you, the ultimate you, when I tap into the ultimate you and you looking in the mirror, I literally see you looking in the mirror like my body is art. My body is such a beautiful sculptured piece of art. And I love its curves because I feel like the curves are a good thing, but the fluffiness is not a piece that would be in integrity with who you really are. Like, it's more like I have these beautiful womanly curves and I love the shape of my body. And the more that I tone into my body and the more that I tighten my body, the more I can see the actual shape of it, right? So if we look at our shape of our body, if there's 30, and I'm not saying that you have 30, I literally don't know what you look like, but if, just for example, if there's the shape of our body and we have an extra 50 pounds or 30 pounds or 20 pounds or 10 pounds, the more that we shed the fat, the closer we get to seeing what the actual shape of our body is. And even when we look at where our fat gathers, that can tell a lot about us. So when you have most of your fat in your midsection, that's around like your beliefs and your core beliefs. When you carry your fat in your legs, that's more around movement and steps that are required to be taken. So if you gather your fat in your butt and your legs, it means usually that there's resistance around the steps that it needs to be done, or so you either underachieve in those areas or you overachieve. And then if you have cellulite in addition, that also signifies your inconsistencies, because cellulite is clumps of fat. And so what that represents in our life is inconsistencies. So when we have inconsistencies, it also starts to form clumps of fat, right? So when it comes to the midsection too, it's always about nutrition. It's always about nutrition. I'm just going to tap in here a little bit longer. Vitamin C would be something specifically that you could up the dose on, and that would make you feel really good. So you could do that through literally eating oranges, or if you want to take a supplement or something for vitamin C, you could. But when you're eating in a balanced way and your nutrition is balanced, you don't need to supplement. So a supplement is to fill a gap in your nutrition. So when you're constantly eating a balanced food group, you don't need to supplement. And that's the goal. And so with my programs, we don't involve any kind of supplements. Like, there is no pills, there is no shakes, there is no nothing. It's just food. No pre-workouts, none of that shit. Literally, just food is the supplement. So anyways, let me just, okay, I desperately need baby powder between my legs. You know what it reminds me of? Do you ever remember in your bar star days where you would wear dresses and it'd be hot as fuck and you'd be dancing and your thighs would be rubbing together? Like, I wish I knew to rub baby powder between my thighs when I would dance at the bar before. But anyways, so let me see if I can go a little bit further into resistance, because I feel like it's around planning. I feel like there is a resistance to planning, and that you can do it for a short period of time, but after a while it just gets like blech, like I just don't want to. So it would be about also finding a way that you can plan and also feel free. And really looking at it like, when I'm planning, it's not because I have to, it's because I'm paying attention to myself and my goals. So I notice that when my fridge is empty and I don't have a lot of choices, I end up eating a peanut butter sandwich at midnight. I notice that I do that. So I'm going to have some baby carrots in the fridge so that I can munch on something in lieu of a peanut butter sandwich at midnight, right? So if there was less of a resistance around planning and it felt more like preparing and just preparing for success and knowing that it was to support you instead of punish you. Because right now here, I feel like especially around food, it feels like planning feels like torture. It feels like a punishment, ooh, let me plan all these boring as fuck plain chicken breasts so that I can eat them every day for 7 days. Like that doesn't feel that, obviously you're going to resist planning then, right? So instead, what if you had like fun stuff like pomegranates and like bananas and also some yogurt and also some like, you know, frozen items, like things that actually made you feel excited to eat. I think that you wouldn't have so much resistance around the planning. So that's the biggest thing that I feel. And if you allowed yourself to plan and actually just give yourself some more focused attention, and this can be on your body, on your business, on your beauty, right? So when you allow yourself to do that, you're going to up level both your body, your appearance, and your business. Because I literally see you having a waist that does this and it's like so gorgeous and beautiful, and like having this voluptuous like booty and like smackable. Like I see that for you, and I see you having this gorgeous glowy face. So if you were going to do something of mine, what I would recommend is number 1, the lose 30 pounds in 20 weeks, or lose 20 pounds in 4 weeks program. It's $350. Or Food Freedom Acceleration feels really good for you. That one's $1,333. So both of those programs, and that's if you want to work on body goals. I wasn't sure if you wanted to or not. But if you want to work on body goals and like knowing the practical, like how to eat, then those would be good. So those 2 programs give you nutrition coaching. So it allows you to choose and teaches you how to eat. So it teaches you, okay, I need this food group and this food group, and how do I want to do this? And what can I order at the Starbucks drive-thru? And what can I do when I'm in a pinch and don't have time? So Food Freedom Acceleration is $1,333, but both of those also go into the mindset stuff of your triggers, your relationship with men, sex, all of that, right? If you don't care about eating, and you just want to work on like just the tip, I would say the Heat Masterclass for you, which is unchaining your hotness and looking at what's standing between you and your hotness. That's $222. Or the Thirsty Masterclass, which is identifying your edge and what you're on the edge of. That's also $222. So my masterclasses are $222 each, or $350 for 2 of them. So if you had a hotness challenge, my hotness challenge for you would be bright red lips, to do hair really voluminous, and to put on something simple where your beauty just radiates out so loud that your face is so gorgeous that nothing else matters. And it's simple and it's easy. Like a white wife beater and jeans would be gorgeous. Like I just see that as being like super hot for you. Okay, so next I am gonna do, who was it? Elena. Are you still here? Elena, are you still here? Let me know and I'll go into you next. And then if you're somebody who had shared, can you re-comment below again and say that you've shared so that I don't have to like scroll through the comments? But Elena, let me know that you're still here so that because I don't want to read people who aren't here anymore, or just put a little heart because it shows up faster. Okay. So Elena, if you were to resist fear, if you were to resist resistance, your relationship with men is coming up right away. So men and sex, and learning how to also refrain and hold back so that energy can build and stack. So when we apply this to food, right, we have temptations to indulge in things that we know that maybe this isn't perfect for me. So I feel like this also tailors into your relationship with men, even if it's a past thing, because I don't know if you're in a current relationship, but it feels a little bit like impulsive. Like, okay, this guy is hot, I'm gonna fuck him. Nothing wrong with that. Or it might not be I'm gonna fuck him. It might be I'm gonna go talk to him right away. And this is where it can work with you, right? So there's not a lot of fear around it. It's more of just like, meh. It's almost like I don't really care what's on the line because I'm gonna give in to the impulse right now and right here. And so when we look at food, what happens is you're like, meh, no big deal if I gain 10 pounds. I'm just gonna eat this thing, right? we love that in the way that it's like, okay, we love that you're accepting and that you're open. But what it does is when you're constantly giving into impulses, it doesn't allow you to move forward. It allows you to accept who you are right now. Again, two very different energies. So the you that gives into impulses and is just very in the moment is a match for this body right now. The you who's able to say, okay, I would love to eat ice cream followed by pizza, followed by candy, followed by some sex. That's what I want to do. That's what my impulse is to do. But also what I really want is to chisel into my body and lose some weight. So in order to do that, I would have to be not so impulsive. I would have to stop for a moment and think harder about what it actually is that I'm desiring. Because I feel like right now, or even in the past with food, it wouldn't even be necessarily because you're craving it. It would be just because it's there. So when you catch yourself doing this with food, when you just want to eat the cookie because it's there, I want you to literally pretend it's like, I'm just going to fuck this guy because he's beside me. Like, think of it like that. Well, he's beside me, so I might as well just fuck him. Like try to use that as a metaphor of like, do I intentionally want to fuck this guy? Do I intentionally want to eat this cookie? Is it going to give me a long-term effect and a short-term effect that's going to take me to the higher level me? Or does it keep me where I am right now? So this is what I want you to do. Every time you go to eat a thing, ask yourself, does this get me closer to who I want to be or further away? And I see that I have the impulse to do something, but can I think about it a little longer and then make a conscious decision instead of autopiloting the food into my mouth and then not even remembering what I ate that day? I don't know. What did I eat? Did I eat anything bad? I'm not really sure. Like, that's not intentional hot body eating, right? So the thing that I feel that you have resistance against is fighting your impulses and really just sitting on it longer. This is my hotness challenge for you. When you see the temptation of the thing that you want to eat, give yourself a timeline of 10 minutes, okay? Before you actually eat it. Like if you know that it's something that's like a treat. So be like, I commit to thinking about this choice for 10 minutes. And at that end of that 10 minutes, I'm now making a conscious choice of if I'm going to eat it. It's not that I'm fighting it. It's I'm actually thinking about the importance of it, what it represents, and where it's going to get me. So it's not I'm spending 10 minutes fighting the craving. It's I'm spending 10 minutes thinking about myself and my goals and if this food aligns with it. That's your hotness challenge. And if you were going to do a thing with me, your next step with me would be food freedom acceleration, 1,333, or the lose 20 pounds in 4 weeks program, which is 350. And what that would do, it was also take down your cravings. Because when you start eating balanced, disciplined, and portions, your cravings suddenly go down. And when you don't have the craving, you don't have the impulse. So that's part of it too. Alicia Jamie, are you still there? I'm going to do you next. Alicia Jamie. Put a little heart so that, because that will show me instantly. So when you put a little heart, then I don't have to wait for it. Okay, cool. Okay, resistance. Okay, so for you, what I'm feeling around food is what is happening is there might be a lot of like, okay, I'm going to eat this thing and I know it's not good. I know that I shouldn't be eating this thing, but I'm going to do it anyway because I don't have a lot of time to make, like, I feel like you actually enjoy healthy food and that it's not like you don't like eating scheduled and routined and planned, but I feel like your relationship with time and your relationship with scheduling and your relationship with smoothness and flow gets in the way and you get out of flow and then you get chaotic and overwhelmed and then you go and grab the easy pre-made thing that also sabotages your body, and that happens too often. That happens often enough that it's preventing you from getting a different type of body that you would desire. So that's my feeling around it. And also, if you want to talk back and forth with me, that's super, super helpful. So what you would need, for practical things to be able to solve that issue, is all you need is a list of grab and go things that you would have went to the grocery store anyway. So instead of just immediately grabbing the thing of croissants or the thing of pre-made cupcakes, having a idea of, okay, what's a grocery list that I could grab of things that would be simple, easy, and fast? Things that don't take cooking, and can I have those on hand? So let me triple stock those things. So let me make sure I've got like some frozen this and some frozen that, and those are always on hand. So now when I'm feeling chaotic and I'm feeling clusterfucked, I can literally just grab that because I know it's always there. And also just knowing, okay, when I go to Booster Juice or when I go to Starbucks, knowing what to order in those situations instead of ordering the breakfast sandwich, or instead of ordering the thing that has 500 calories that you haven't even looked into, that you never even realized had that many calories. And now you realize, holy shit, that's really sabotaging me. Because what I feel like is you actually love fueling your body good, and you love eating the healthy food, and you actually don't like eating shitty. It doesn't make you feel good. It's not that you're craving the shitty food. It's just that the shitty food is what's there, and it's the easiest thing to grab. And you're not even enjoying it, I feel, when you're eating it. So what it would do if you actually were able to just like enroll in a program that taught you these things, is what it would do is it would bring up your enjoyment and your satisfaction level so much more. So now when you're going to Starbucks, you have 3 ideas of things that you could order that don't have this guilty lingering feeling in the background. Do you know what I mean? So now you go to Starbucks and you're like, oh, okay, I can just order this and this, and it's actually really good, and I don't have to feel guilty. And oh my God, the scale is down 5 pounds. Like, how cool would that be? So my main thing for you is not a resistance in doing, it's actually a lack of knowledge in what to do. Because I actually feel like if you knew what to do, you would do it. But I think you have resistance around sitting down to actually learn what to do. Because it's not like that you're not willing to do it. It's that you're not willing to sit down and learn how to do it. So once you learn how to do it, I feel like you're just going to do it. And you're going to feel so much better. And I feel like the weight would come off like pretty easily, honestly. How do I trust that it's right? Well, I think it's like, is where you are right now right? You ask yourself that. And then you ask yourself why it would be that you wouldn't trust. Because the only reason you wouldn't trust, usually, is because you don't think you can do it. So if you don't think you can do it, you want to dig into why you don't think you could do it. And I think what it comes down to for you is maybe not that you don't think you can do it, it's that you might just not really want to. Because in not doing it, in not sitting down and taking the time to watch the nutrition video and to, pair the food, it's not low carb at all, or intermittent fasting. Oh my God, no. In not doing that, it's more about the focus. So going low carb and intermittent fasting is all restriction. So of course you can lose weight through restriction. That's not what I teach. I don't teach cutting out food groups. I don't teach fasting. That's literally starving yourself. That's what fasting means. Fasting means I'm starving myself. I am not allowing myself to eat food. Obviously, if you starve yourself, you're going to lose weight. So that is not what I teach. I teach how to lose weight by eating more. by saying, okay, let me level out my blood sugars, let me eat all the food groups, let me eat it in the correct portion at the correct time of day, and let me get results by doing that, not by cutting out carbs. That would be the shortcut way if I didn't want to teach you how to deal with your emotions, because your relationship with time is also a part of this. So this is something that we would go into. So for you, if you wanted to do just the tip, I would say the Breakthrough Masterclass, which goes into your relationship with time management, your relationship with self-sabotage, and the shut down, shove down mode. So, okay, there's so much going on that I can't deal, so I shove down or I shut down and I don't do the things. So the Breakthrough Masterclass is $111, but it doesn't teach you how to eat. So it goes into mindset work. And if you wanted to go into like actually learning how to eat, then you would do the Lose 20 Pounds in 4 Weeks program, $350, or you would do the Food Freedom program, $1,333. So my hotness challenge for you would be to make yourself focus on putting what happens when I put 10 extra minutes into my appearance. When I put 10 extra minutes into my hair or my makeup or my mascara, and let me see the difference that it feels even when I do that. That could be your hotness challenge. And then, because you need to see results from the extra work and effort that's being put in, because it's not that it takes more time for this, but it takes more thought. You're making dinner anyway. You're going to the grocery store anyway. You're grabbing the thing anyway. Like, it doesn't take more time to grab a banana at Starbucks instead of a muffin. It takes more intention and thought. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Elena, are you still here? Shove down food, shove down emotions. I do this for sure. Yeah. Elena, are you still here? So when you get to the bottom of all of those things, because this is what my hot body programs do, is they combine the practicals with freedom along with the emotionals. And that's the key that's missing in keto or in Weight Watchers or any of that. So Elena, for you, I believe it's more about stress management and emotional intelligence and energy, the ability to control where you're putting your energy. Because what I feel is you have spurts of high energy where you do, and you do the thing and you kick ass and you do the workouts and you do the food prep, but that you're not able to maintain that for a lifelong period of time. So my feeling for you is to wrap your head more around getting a way of eating that you're going to do for the rest of your life, and to feel like it would need to, if you're going to go into something and you're doing it for the rest of your life, you want to treat it like a marriage. So you and your relationship with body and food is something that you're never going to get away from. Okay, so you're going to be every second of every day of every minute with your body. And there's never going to be a time where your body does not require food. So you have to look at it like a marriage, a lifelong soulmate marriage. And you've got to look at what are the things that allow a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage. There has to be a constant communication, not just I constantly fight down my cravings, or I constantly fight down my low energy, or I constantly push past my body's urge to do something. And instead I stop for a moment and I look at it, because a craving is your body talking to you. So when you get a craving, that means you're in lack of something. That's where a craving comes. When you make a choice to eat something because you wanted to and felt like it, not because you're craving it, this is different. So when you learn how to eat in a way where all your nutritional needs are being met, all of a sudden, when you eat something that's less than ideal, it's a choice that you made because you wanted it, not because you gave into a craving. So it's your relationship with your body and time and intimacy that I feel like is your next step. So instead of looking at things like I'm going to do this 4-week thing, or I'm going to do this 10-day cleanse, or I'm going to do this short period of time thing, because you've already proven to yourself that you can do things for short periods of time. You've mastered that, and that's good. So that's when you're in the blast off mode. So when you're in the kickstart mode. But what happens is somewhere along the line, whether it be 10 days later, 10 weeks later, 10 months later, you fizzle out. And what you want to be able to do is you want to do this till the day that you die. You want to be hot for life. And although you will tweak as you go along, you will tweak your goals, you really want to look at this as like, this is me jumping into a committed relationship with myself. And so in order to do that, I have to get to know my body more deeper and what's going on behind the scenes and the meanings behind the cravings and all of that. And it's going to also benefit my hair and skin routine and my pleasure routine and all of that, right? So what I'm really tapping into here for you is if you could develop a level of intimacy with your food where when you're eating, hi Kimberly, it actually feels like an orgasmic experience. Because orgasms are not something that you want to experience where there's a side effect of something toxic, right? So, okay, when you experience an orgasm, what we want is a pure, clean connection to energy building and then exploding. But what happens when there's shame behind it or resistance behind it, or it's done in the wrong energy, it explodes and then there's an aftershock. So it's kind of like when you give into an impulse and you fuck the wrong guy and then you know that you shouldn't have, or you fuck the ex that you know was bad for you, then it's followed by shame. So every time you go into an old pattern, let's say you go into a binge, which you had said you broke up with binging, but you end up in the binge again. It was good for a moment, but now there's the shame and the after effect. And what I feel like for you is you will often numb out the after effect. So you'll do the sabotaging thing, and then you'll numb out the after effect by avoiding, by not looking at it, by skimming it over, by glazing over, by filling your day with different activities. So in saying that I'm busy and I'm on calls all day, or I'm with my kids all day, or I'm giving attention and focus to my career, I get to not feel so bad about my bad food choices because I know I'm putting intention and love into these other people, and that feels good. But what the underlying whisper is that I don't actually feel 100% about where my body's at. It's not awful. I don't hate it. But I'm also avoiding the fact that I know I want it to be a little better. So then what happens is you're in this place of glazing things over and distracting yourself with work and other assets of passion. Because it's like you have so much going on and you love all of these things and you're passionate about all of these things. But what if you were to ignite the passion inside of your body and fall that deeply in love with yourself? Can you imagine how much that would ignite your clients as well, and how on fire you would be and how much they would step into that fire? So this is the next level you. The you who feels passionate about how much she loves her body. And because I don't feel like you don't love your body, but falling deeper in love with your body and knowing that every time you do an act of service for her, by working out for her, by eating the healthy thing for her, you're opening up the communication so that it's not just a one-way relationship. You're actually allowing her to speak to you, and you're speaking back to her. So instead of the craving comes up and you shove down the craving with the chocolate bar, instead the craving comes up, you look at why the craving came up, and then you learn how to fill the craving with proper nutrition instead of shove the craving down with the chocolate bar and the chemical. Because that's what white sugar is, a chemical, right? So if you were going to do something with me, what I would say is the 10-day one-on-one Voxer support, where we talk back and forth about whatever you want to talk about. So whether it be about food, fitness, business, any of that, that's $1,111. Or if you want to actually learn how to eat, then you would go into one of my programs. Or the Heat and Thirsty Masterclass. So Heat, unchain your hotness. Thirsty, identify your edge. Because what I feel like for you is that you would be inclined to do the emotional work, but you would resist the practical work, right? And so you can say, okay, I'm not ready to like do all the practical stuff. I just want to dig into some emotional stuff. You can say that, and you can do that with the master classes. And then when you're like, okay, I want to like do the practical things, then you can be like, okay, now I'm ready to like go into an actual program and do the practical things. So I am going to bring it to an end now. Oh, and also, actually, Elena, the masterclass that I think would be amazing for you would be Infused, because it teaches you how to manage your energy and it gives you a cookbook. So the cookbook has a meal plan template in it, which shows you here are the carbs, here are the proteins, and how to pair them together. So it actually gives just a tiny little taste snippet of the practicals, and then it goes deeply into emotionals. You'd benefit more off that than the Heat Masterclass. Infused would be the one for you if you were gonna do like just the tip. So it's $222 and it comes with the cookbook. Or you can do the Masterclass subscription, which is $144 a month, and it's a minimum of 3 months. So if anybody, whoever felt like this video was amazing, I would absolutely love for you to share it. And I'm excited, and it was so good to see you.